Hello, hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new video on this channel. We are going to be doing something quite exciting, at least to me. We are going to complete those 3 items from my spring bookish reset list and put it in this vlog. So let's do book stuff together. So the 3 items that we are going to be tackling in this video are, number 1, we are going to do a flip through of my 2025 reading journal, when we're going to see so many blank spreads or even just spreads that are created but just not filled out. The second item on the list is to update my 2026 reading journal. I have gone ahead and printed out book covers for my 2026 reading journal. I'm going to put this one back because that's going to be item 3 on this list. So I have already went ahead and printed out these book covers so that I can paste them on my 2026 reading journal. For example, I have some Jade City aesthetic kind of inspo pics here. I also have my 26 books for 2026 book covers here. This would be perfect because whenever I try to think about what was on my 26 books for 2026, I just can't remember and have to pull up my phone. But I film on my phone, so sometimes it's just not convenient. This page here are just all the books I have completed so far and also my spring TBRs on this list. My 2026 reading journal is not going to be completely filled out. I am going to set up the spreads, especially for my review on the books. Once I update my 2026 reading journal and put the book covers in my reading journal, I think I would consider that as completed, because I do like taking my time writing out my review, and I actually don't want to show that on camera because I'm afraid that it's going to be very spoilery. So we're just going to be pasting the book covers onto my 2026 reading journal and just updating any stats that needs to be updated. And finally, the third item on the list is going to be decorating my kobo. So currently it looks like this, and I have printed out something that I can put as a background on the back of my kobo. Should I show it now? Actually, I'll show it to you all when we start decorating my kobo. I am thinking of switching out some of these stickers and maybe putting new stickers on. And I have already changed the screensaver of my kobo. So before it was Snoopy picking out a book from a wall of books. So we have Snoopy writing probably a book, and the little birdie is kind of dancing on top of a book stack. I'm still not used to this one. I think I still prefer my old screensaver, but we'll see how it goes. By the end of this video, we'll see if I'm going to revert it back to how it was before. But for now, we are going to test this out. This is not too bad either, but I do prefer my other one more. I think I like the other one more because when I first put that wallpaper on my kobo, I was just squealing for joy because I absolutely loved it. But when I put this one on, I thought it was okay, it was cute, but it didn't give me that same joy I had when I had my first wallpaper. So we will test this out to see how it goes. By the end of this video, we will see whether we're going to keep this or change it up. Those are the 3 items we are going to complete in this video. And of course, we are going to be reading a book while we're doing all this book stuff. In this video, we are going to be reading And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I am 25% of the way through the book and I love it so far. Now, I don't think I'm going to put that pressure on me to finish this book within this vlog as well. I think the main purpose of this vlog is to finish those 3 items on my list. And whether or not I finish this book, if I finish this book, that's a bonus, that's great. But if not, you will see my full review on this on my April reading wrap-up video. So let's start this video with a reading update. And tomorrow we are going to tackle our to-do list. I am 25% of the way through And Now Back to You, and I am loving this so far. If you have seen my March reading wrap-up, I have read First Time Caller. I absolutely loved Jackson as a side character. I thought he was a quirky, funny, nerdy guy, and he is a character that's just living life unseriously. Now that we are reading about him here, I was quite surprised about his character. In this book here, I see a more serious side of Jackson, which was quite interesting and just, it threw me off guard, but not in a bad way for sure. It really opened my eyes to the fact that in First Time Caller, because we are in the eyes and the POV of Aiden, this is how Aiden viewed Jackson. When we are actually in Jackson's shoes, we actually see a more serious side of him, and he is a stickler for routines. We do see glimpses of it in First Time Caller, but it's very prominent in And Now Back to You. Although you do see his nerdy, quirky side, I thought he was a very expressive character with his face and just his actions. That's how I viewed it in First Time Caller, because that's how Aiden views it. But when we are in the shoes of Jackson, I don't see it as much because we are in his shoes and we're just in his perspective now. Now, I also was listening to this as an audiobook, and I highly recommend the audiobook. Not only do you have a male and a female voice actor and actress, at the end of each chapter, I mentioned this in my March reading wrap up, there is always this insert of a interview. In First Time Caller, there was a radio interview kind of layout in that book, whereas this one is a news broadcast. When you are listening to it as an audiobook, you hear the TV turn on and there's like a little jingle before they jump into the dialogue in the book. So let me again show you what I mean by that. For example, we have a little television here. So when you listen to the audio, you hear the TV turning on, you hear a little jingle, and then in this case, Delilah starts narrating. So she's giving a news broadcast. And that was just so immersive. I absolutely enjoyed it. I loved that through the audiobook. I already loved it in the book, so you can imagine how much I loved it through audio. I just shared my thoughts on this book. But this book is inspired by the movie When Harry Met Sally. And although I think I watched that movie a long time ago, but I fell asleep probably halfway through the movie. I think I fell asleep a quarter into the movie. I can't even remember what that movie is about. So knowing that this is inspired by When Harry Met Sally, after I finish reading this book, I am going to jump into watching the movie and kind of see whether I enjoy the movie too. I mean, this is inspired by the movie. So I mean, if I really enjoyed this, I would assume I would enjoy When Harry Met Sally. However, I also forgot to mention this in my March reading wrap-up. First Time Caller is inspired by the movie Sleepless in Seattle. And after I read First Time Caller, I went ahead and watched Sleepless in Seattle. But unfortunately, I fell asleep halfway through the movie. I have a tendency of falling asleep through movies for some reason. However, based on how much I've watched in the movie, I saw some similarities and I can see the inspiration for First Time Caller. And I think I preferred the romance in First Time Caller, where the romance is between the anonymous caller and the radio show host. However, in the movie, it was an anonymous caller calling for their dad, and the romance is between the dad and anonymous listener. I don't even know how they got together. I just fell asleep by then. So maybe I need to rewatch Sleepless in Seattle, but for And Now Back to You, I am going to watch When Harry Met Sally after reading this book and kind of hopefully stay awake through the movie to see the comparisons and see the inspiration that B.K. Borison had from the movie When Harry Met Sally. If I remember correctly, B.K. Borison wrote the Heartstrings trilogy, and each of the installments in the series is inspired by the director Nora Ephron's movies. So Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally. I am loving this book so far, and I didn't even talk about the synopsis of this book. We are following Jackson and Delilah. He is a weatherman, she is a weather girl. She reports the weather through television, and he reports the weather through the radio. And Jackson isn't fond of Delilah because he doesn't think that she takes weather reporting seriously, not as seriously as he does. So he is very passionate about weather reporting. In the beginning, they get called in for a meeting from their respective bosses, and they are going to be reporting together on a winter storm brewing. So it seems like this is going to be an enemies to lovers romance, but I also don't feel like it's that enemies-like because he has a slight attraction to her in terms of her looks, I think, and she has a slight attraction to him too. So I don't think I would consider this solely enemies to lovers. So we'll see how this turns out. But so far, I don't see that insta love that I did see in First Time Caller, even though First Time Caller, it wasn't truly insta love. It was more so infatuation or interested in one another. Whereas here you can see that it's not totally insta love. So I actually don't see the insta love in here. And although they are physically attracted to one another slightly a little bit, those are my thoughts on this book so far. I feel like I rambled on quite a lot there. I don't know if I'll be giving a reading update, so the next thing you'll see is probably something that we are going to tackle on this list. I am going to call it a night today because it is almost 10 p.m. and I just want to snuggle up in bed and read. So I will chat with you all tomorrow when we tackle on the first thing on our to-do list. We are going to be tackling on our first item on our list. We are going to decorate my kobo. I took it out of its case. I do still need to clean it and also clean the case. It looks kind of dirty. And then I have some stickers here that I feel that are pretty bookish related and probably reuse some of them that is currently on my kobo. For example, this one here and also this one. I love this one. And also I have some other stickers here. I absolutely adore this one. One of my close friends got this for me. We're going to have some fun with this. I have a cardboard box here because I was cutting out what is going to be here. What I decided to do was go on Canva and make this here. I absolutely love it. Let's see if it actually fits. I don't even know if it actually fits. Oh! How lovely. Oh, this is great. Now, I just realized that there's a hole here, so I still need to cut out that hole. And it's perfect because I did not plan this, but the hole is just that empty plaid place. But for the time being, we are going to clean our device and then we're gonna start picking out stickers. While we are doing that, I wanted to give you an update on And Now Back to You by BGM President. I am almost at the halfway point at this point, and I'm still loving it so far. The only thing that threw me off guard was how Delilah and Jackson had their first kiss. I thought it was a bit cheesy, but at the same time, I was okay with it. Other than that, I still really enjoy the book so far. I really enjoy Jackson's character and Delilah. I think they make a very cute couple. I think I am also rooting for this couple. I usually don't root for main character couples for some reason. This one, I am definitely rooting for it. I think that's the only thing I can think of for my update. So I'm listening to it as an audiobook and also reading the physical copy, but I haven't picked up the physical copy yet. So I put the audiobook on pause. I didn't want to finish the audiobook and not even touch my physical copy. So that's why it is currently on pause. And I'm currently listening to Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez for another video. So I won't talk about that here, but that video should be up, I think, after this video. Now I have to do that little hole for the power button. So let's fix that. And now how am I going to cut that out? So I'm going to do that off camera, and once I finish that, we'll come back on and select the stickers together. I am back, and let's take a look at all the stickers that we have. I'm thinking of keeping this one, and this one, maybe this one, and this one, and this one. Am I adding all of these? Okay, so maybe we don't need this anymore because we have this now. So I think that's just, oh wait, actually, this is actually pretty cute. Maybe we'll hold off on this for now. I think there's too much flowers going on right now, so we'll hold off on those. Ooh, I think I like this one because it's pink and pink. I like that. That's cute. So let's move all this aside. Let's start piecing them together. I like this, so I'm going to keep this here because that is very cute. I think this is a bit too big. Yeah, this is a bit too big, so I'm going to move this to the side. I love this one. Maybe this can go here. Oh, how cute. Yeah. And of course, I need to have the proud bookworm somewhere. So maybe here, maybe? And then should we put fantasy girly? There's too much color going on, so maybe I'll hold this off for next time too. And ooh, I do like this one too. But does it fit with the color scheme? Actually, it does. Ooh, okay, maybe I'll put this up here like that. And then put Proud Bookworm here. Maybe do it something like that. Maybe like that. I also want to see if I want to put this in the back. So let's move these out. So we're not going to use these stickers. This Japan one here, I absolutely love as well, but I think I'm going to save this for my bullet journal to just paste it in indefinitely. So I'm going to move that here as well. And now let's see if this white background, should we keep this white background like that? And then maybe we could put this blue one here like that. And a pink one up here like that. I like that. And then have this here. Proud bookworm right here. And that's it. I think that's a little bit plain. I really want to put this one in. Put this here. Maybe put this up here like that. Maybe this one off center a bit. And then have this down here. And finally, this one here. So something like that. Actually, I kind of like that. I actually like that. So let's put that on my kobo and see how it looks. So we are going to put, how are we gonna do this? Okay, so we're gonna put this on the bottom. This also at the bottom, like here maybe. And then this one on the top here. And then proud bookworm right here. Put that, oh no, I think I did this wrong. It doesn't, oh, this is so bad. I need to put the hole over here. I completely forgot. Okay, well, we're gonna fix that in a bit, but let's see how this looks. You know what? This is pretty cute. I like this. So maybe I can put this more center. I could maybe block this up. So maybe I can move this higher up. That is so embarrassing. And then make a new hole here. So let me draw a little hole there for now. And then I will be back to fix that little error I made, and we'll see the final results. I'm back. So here is my kobo after fixing the whole situation. This is how it's going to look like. I actually really like how it looks. So this sticker was able to cover that hole there. So that was quite embarrassing, but that's okay. I mean, I'm surprised that things were going smoothly because I tend to make a mistake somehow and somewhere. So I'm not surprised. And if we look closely, this is still a bit wonky here. So I think maybe I can fix that off screen as well. But in terms of decorating my kobo, I am pretty satisfied with this. Maybe I can move this a little bit down. I wonder if I could put more things. Actually, maybe I should keep this one here because there's some green in this. Let me change that for a second. This is going to be the final look of my kobo. So I'm pretty satisfied with this. I think I do like the sticker over this one. I think this one, I like this one because of that tea mug and it matches the background, so we'll keep that. So I'm pretty satisfied with how this looks so far. We will see by the end of this video whether I change anything or not. And as for the screensaver, I'm also going to see by the end of this video whether I'm going to change this back to how it was originally. I think we're going to test this out a little bit and then I will provide an update whether I am going to keep it or not at the end of this video. That is the first item out of the 3 completed, and I will check in with you all when we do our second item on our list. it is time to share with you all my 2026 updated reading journal. We're going to do it in a flip through style. And then we are also going to do my 2025 bullet journal flip through. So we're hitting two birds with one stone here. So let us start with our 2026 updated bullet journal, since we just saw that I was updating this journal, and the last time I filmed that was probably a couple of days ago. So let's do a quick flip through of my updated 2026 reading journal. I do want to mention I am so sorry about my nails. They look atrocious, so please bear with me. Here is the title page. Nothing was done there. And then I might have to update this. I think I have read 11 books, so I think this is up to date. Here is my reading tracker. I do want to read 50 books. So as you can see, I have only rated one book so far this year, a 5-star read. Maybe I can do this video will end when I find a 5-star read, or let's see how many 5-star reads I can find in this video, because I kind of want a 5-star read now. I have a bunch of 4-star reads. However, it's not a solid 4 stars, so it's either a 4.25 or a 4.75. That's still classified under the 4-star. And the 3 stars are a 3.5 or 3.75 stars. So I actually didn't rate a book 3 stars flat. On this page, we have our 2026 overview stats. So these are the number of books that I have read, the average rating, the 5 stars, audiobook, physical, ebook, and library. And it's nice to see this as an overview to see how many books I've read and how I read them. Here are my monthly favorites. I didn't print out much yet because when I printed out these book covers, I think I printed it out in the middle of March. So I wouldn't have known what my March favorite was, so that is blank. But as you can see, I have the Greenbone Saga as my monthly favorites. Here is my series tracker. I didn't put all the books that I'm in the middle of because I'm not sure if I want to continue those. So these are the series that I am currently in the middle of that I know I want to get to, and I started either this year or last year. So we have the Greenbone Saga, Caraval, which is completed, Pretty Little Liars, The Remnant Chronicles, and Heartstrings. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if I should have put Heartstrings because they are an interconnected standalone series. Otherwise, I should have put Say You'll Remember Me here as well, but I didn't. Anyway, that's okay. I think the series tracker is mainly for my fantasy novels maybe, but haven't really decided because I do have Pretty Little Liars here, but there are 8 books and they do continue instead of being interconnected standalone series. Oh, this page is so nice. We have 26 books for 2026. These are all the books that I want to read in 2026 or hope to read in 2026. So we have read a total of 4 books so far, and the lowest rating so far is a 4 stars. So that is pretty good. On this page, we have our book bingo. I like how it looks like so far. I still want to keep these in pencil so I know what book can be allocated to those prompts. So far, I am almost at a line if I have a reader's choice, which is super easy, and I just need a recommendation from a friend. I think that's doable. But so far, we are doing pretty good on this book bingo. And the sections that we have covered is book club pick, first in a series, new release, POC author, made me cry, physical TBR, and less than 300 pages. Oh, technically, I did do this one, spring book, which is by Ash, Oak, and Thorn. So that could have been here. I do need to update this page. But by the time I read by Ash, Oak, and Thorn, I didn't even print out these book covers. So maybe at the next quarter, I can update this. Here we have our release radar. So these are the books that I want to read or are on my radar for new releases of 2026. The only thing that's still in pencil is ACOTAR number 6 because I actually don't know what the title is going to be. That is what it is so far. And I hope all these dates do not change, but if it does, that's totally fine. Then we have our unread library. I'm doing a quick scan and I think, oh yeah, I still need to fill out by Ash, Oak, and Thorn and Say You'll Remember Me. Those 2 are completed by the time I am filming this. So that would mean I have read 6 books. So And then I am currently reading And Now Back to You. So that would be 7 books on my unread library. So that would be 7 books on my unread library. So we are doing good progress here. Here we have our book bracket, and I've already have January, February, and March. Those are my favorite reads of the month. So they're going to be put against one another, and we are going to see what our top 3 books of the year are going to be. So far I have Jade City, Jade War, and First Time Caller. Honestly, this is so not fair, but I mean, it is what it is. We have our book club picks here. Jade City and Vicious were Freya's Fable book club pick of the month, and The Poet Empress is Jamie's Fable book club pick of the month. And for April, it's also going to be from Jamie's Fable book club, and that is The Night We Met. Now we are on January. This is going to be my January spread. I like it so far. I have my hopefuls. So we have read 2 out of the 4 in January. And then we have a 1-sentence review on all the books that I have read. And then here are my stats. So we have the 3 books that I have read with its star rating, favorite book of the month, and least favorite book of the month. And we have a pie chart to see our stats in terms of the rating, genre, and source. Clearly, I like to mix and match my reading format, so mostly audio or ebook, or audio and physical, or maybe all 3. This is where I'm going to write an in-depth review of each book that I have read. So far, as you can see, I did not write anything yet, but I would do that off camera and take my time with it, and it would consist some spoilers. So I'm not going to update this in this video. This is going to be my Jade City spread. I love it. And hopefully I can write 2 pages worth for Jade City, I think. Knowing me, I think I can. So we're going to take our time with that as well. And these photos were just inspos from Pinterest. Now we are on the month of February. I love the little cherries and hearts here. And I have my hopefuls, which I have read only 2 out of the 5, and 1-sentence review of all the books that I have read with its stats and star ratings. Again, these are just going to be in-depth reviews of the books, and also sketch the book covers here. And now we are on my spring TBR. I still have to decide what I want to do here. I was debating on whether to do a top 6 and rank these, or at the start and finish date of each of these books. And then the bigger box here is going to be a mini review. I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of reviews in this. And then we have our March spread with the hopefuls, which I have read 1 out of the 5 there. And then 1-sentence review of the books that I have read in March. And then I still have to fill this out, which would be in the next quarter. Similarly, we're going to update these pages off camera for an in-depth review. This is going to be a 2-page spread for First Time Caller. And then we are in April. So these spreads are heavily inspired by Lazy Egg Reads on Instagram, which I will link down in the description box below. I absolutely love these spreads. It's been so fun updating this 2026 bullet journal. And I have By Ash, Oak, and Thorn and Say You'll Remember Me. And that is the end of my 2026 reading journal. Now let's talk about my 2025 reading journal flip through. Just want to preface again that there's going to be a lot of blank or empty spreads. But as you can see, my 2026 reading journal is coming along nicely so far. So we are going to be doing quarterly updates there. But here is a realistic 2025 reading journal flip through. So let us start. I do not have a title page, so we have my 2025 reading tracker. This is probably my favorite spread out of all the spreads on the 2025 reading journal. I absolutely love these stickers. These are from the Coffee Monsters Co. I've been purchasing her stickers and her washi tapes for many years now. I liked how I can see how many books I have read in each month as an overview. But as you can see, I fell off for October, November, and December. If I had continued it, I think it would be very nice to look at it as an overview. Maybe I can revisit this next year, but this is probably my proudest spread. Next, we have my 2025 series tracker. As you can see, I have a lot more books here. So we have The Folk of the Air, which I want to start all over. The Housemaid series, which I have completed. Magnolia Parks, which I've only read 2, but I pretty much feel like I didn't read the books because it took me many months to finish each of the books, and I decided to DNF this series. For Throne of Glass, I have read 1, which is The Assassin's Blade, which is a novella, and I'm going to start over this series as well and probably read Assassin's Blade after Heir of Fire or 3rd or 4th. I still have to figure out which order I want to read it in. We have the Monk and Robot duology, which I have completed as well. Love this duology. Crowns of Nyaxia, I've only read the first book. I didn't put the novella in here. So I've been debating whether I should put novellas as part of this series or not. Technically, it would be 2 if I include the novella. The Naturals, I have read only 1 book and I never really continued, but I'm intrigued to continue it. But I'm not itching to pick it up anytime soon. We have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, same thing. I'm not as eager to pick it up, so we only read the first book and it was in anticipation of this series, which I did not enjoy. We have the Cerulean Chronicles. This is the House in the Cerulean Sea duology. I loved the first one. The second one was okay. I didn't love it as much as the first one. And I would say it wasn't necessary to read the second one unless you want to continue following along the characters in the first novel. But I think I would have been satisfied with just stopping at the first book. We have Caraval, which at this point in time, I have only read 1. So if we look at it in this way, it took me 1 whole year to finish the trilogy. Then we read Pretty Little Liars. I mainly listened to it through an audiobook, but I have read the first book and I think that was probably my favorite out of all 4. But it could be because I was listening to it as an audiobook rather than physically reading it. So starting the 5th book onwards, I want to read the physical book and see if I have a more enjoyable experience with it. Then we have The Hunger Games. I wanted to reread the Hunger Games series so that I am well prepared for Sunrise on the Reaping. So at this point, I've read the first 3 in the trilogy and also The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Clearly, I didn't fill that out. And then the Shepherd King duology, one of my favorite duologies of all time. And clearly I didn't fill this out as well. We completed it in 2025. Here are my 25 books in 2025. Doing a quick scan. That is up to date. So as you can see, Throne of Glass was supposed to be my 25 books in 2025. I don't have Assassin's Blade because I've already read it at the time. Clearly I did not get to it. And the only 2 books that I did get to was Caraval and Daisy Hates. And those were in the first quarter of 2025. Other than that, I fell off in terms of the books that I wanted to read in 2025. So compared to 2026, I did a whole lot better in 2026 because I think I've read 4. So double the amount than I did in 2025. So as you can see, we also have some repeats. We have Fourth Wing and also Better Than the Movies and Say You'll Remember Me, and also the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. A lot of these were carried over in 2026. We also have my physical TBR. As you can see, it is a lot shorter. I feel like I have read a lot more. Did I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've read 7 in 2025, but let's do a quick scan to see if there was anything else that I have read. 2 Twisted Crowns and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes needs to be filled in, so that's 9. I have read 9 books on my physical TBR in 2025, and in 2026, so far, I've read 7. So I'm doing pretty good in 2026. So here is my first, so this is my January 2025 TBR. So I was going to print out book covers and track my readings and make a review on the book, but I actually did not complete any books in January. So this page is redundant because I didn't read anything in January 2025. So this one was actually for Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which unfortunately was not for me, and I clearly did not write a review on it. Here we have a February. Now that I look at it, I do miss doing these spreads. So we have a calendar overview of the books that I have read that month and how long it took me to read them. For example, Funny Story took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days to complete. And The Love Hypothesis, I think it would have been nice if I wrote when I started this book. Maybe I did start it in February and I took 3 days to finish The Love Hypothesis. I do like seeing the books that I have read and how long it took me as a calendar overview, but I can do that on Fable. So that's why I've decided not to carry this over in 2026. And then here we have our book rating and the format of how I read the books and a one-sentence review. So I do really enjoy this one-sentence review because it's just a quick overview of what I thought the book would be like, because it's a quick overview of my thoughts on the book. And then if I wanted to dive deeper into my review, I would write it on the next page, which is blank because I did not write any full reviews. So this was reserved for my in-depth reviews, which I did not do in 2025. So you're going to see a lot of these, or I'm just going to skip this. Now we are in March, and I think this is updated. So I've only completed 2 books in March. Around this time, I went on vacation. So maybe we're going to see the downfall of my reading. So blank page, which should have been an in-depth review. So April, it took me, actually my reading slip wasn't that bad because I stopped reading probably in the last 2 weeks of March. And then I was still coming back from vacation and getting over my jet lag here. So it took me maybe 2 more weeks for me to get out of my reading slump because I think I did a pretty good job here. And I have completed 3 books. So that's quite average compared to my 2026 reading stats so far. But in 2025, 3 books was a lot. So we're gonna skip the blank pages again. We're in May. In terms of the colors, I did enjoy this one. This one had a lot of bright colors, so this was perfect for May. Maybe not the washi tape. Maybe that was more of a June instead of May, but that's okay. And I actually soft DNF'd The Unmaking of June Pharaoh. So I do want to read it again, but it just was not the right time for me to read this book. And for Powerful, this was the time where I have decided to not continue in the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. Another blank page, and then June. Oh, this was a good reading month. I've read quite a lot of books. I've read 4, which is above my average, especially in 2025. At this point, I knew I was gonna write any in-depth reviews, so I decided to just keep it as the calendar spread with its 1-sentence review. August, pretty good reading month with a lot of Hunger Games books. I think this is the start of my Hunger Games reread and in preparation of Sunrise on the Reaping. Yes. My 2025 fall TBR. So I carried this over to 2026 where I had my spring TBR because I liked seeing this when I was doing my fall TBR. So I have a mini review here of the book so I can see it as an overview. And I put top here because I wanted to rank my fall TBR books that I have read. And I was under the assumption that I would have completed all 10 books in fall, but clearly I did not. It was a good learning experience. Now looking at this, maybe I won't do a top 10 in my spring TBR or a top 6 I think I have on my spring TBR. And maybe I'll just do a start and finish log instead. Or maybe do a combination of both. I haven't decided yet. But this is what the spring TBR spread would look like if it has been filled out. We're in September now, and I do like the color palette here as well. This is where I started falling off in my reading journals. So I don't even know if I set up a November. Let's see. Oh, those were all the book covers I was anticipating on pasting and some color swatches. So these were some of the book covers that fell out of my reading journal. And here's a color swatch for my monthly spreads. I don't know what this is. This is when I started planning for my 2026 reading journal. So those were just mini notes. And yeah, I completely fell off in November because I think I have completed books in November. And yeah, completely done in December. Did not continue updating this. However, I did have a winter TBR and I clearly did not print out any book covers, or I don't even know if I read any of the books. I probably read one, which is The 7 Husbands. But by this point, I did not go back to this 2025 reading journal. and just went along with my 2026 reading journal. And I really enjoyed this 2025 monthly favorites, and that's why it's been carried over to my 2026 reading journal. I really like the washi tape along the length of this page. It looks pretty nice. That was my 2025 reading journal flip through. Clearly there were many unfinished spreads and many blank pages, but that is a realistic 2025 reading journal flip through. All right, so those were my flip throughs, my 2025 reading journal flip through, along with my 2026 reading journal. And we have updated the reading journal up until, I would say, February completed. And then we will do March, April, May in the next quarter. For sure, March and April will be updated by next quarter. So I am very satisfied with my 2026 reading journal, and I cannot wait to write the in-depth reviews and I guess the mini reviews, and that's pretty much it. So those were my flip throughs of my reading journals. And before I end this video, I did mention earlier that I would provide an update on whether I have changed my Kobo screensaver or not. And I am happy to announce that I have updated my Kobo screensaver. Now it sparks the joy that I was looking for. Before I changed my screensaver, it was Snoopy typing away, probably writing a book, with a little birdie dancing on top of a book stack. But although that was cute, but it didn't spark that happiness that I was looking for. So now that I changed my screensaver, it's sparking that joy I was looking for. And to make it more of that reading theme that I wanted in my screensaver, this one isn't particularly a reading themed screensaver, but because I added a line to incorporate reading into it, that's what made it more, I guess, reading themed. But I am very satisfied with the screensaver. So this screensaver I feel like would be perfect for spring and summer. And then my screensaver of Snoopy picking out a book from a library, that was perfect for fall and winter. I don't know if I'm going to be using that same screensaver for fall 2026 and winter 2027, but I really loved that screensaver. And I equally love this screensaver. Let's do the reveal. So we have Yoshi with baby Mario on his back. And then we have that little character, which I forgot what that character was and does to the Super Mario world. But I feel like that little character is a bad guy. To make it more reading-esque, I added a line reading break, which kind of has two meanings. So when I'm going to pick up my Kobo to start reading, that would be my reading break, where I'm taking a break from, let's say, cleaning the condo, and I'm going to be reading. So reading break in that sense. And also reading break as in when I put my Kobo to sleep, this would pop up and say reading break, which is a break from reading. So it kind of has two connotations, two meanings to it. I really love this screensaver. It's bringing that joy that I was looking for in a screensaver. I'm very satisfied with this screensaver. I am also very satisfied with decorating my Kobo case. So this Kobo is very satisfying right now. I cannot wait to read more books on this Kobo. Currently, I'm reading physical copies or I'm listening through an audiobook. So I cannot wait to dive back into my Kobo, and I am focusing on reading physical copies of my books or through an audiobook when I am cleaning the condo or cooking, because I want to save any of my ebooks for when I am on vacation. If I am on a long plane ride, or if I am waiting, or whenever I have time to read. I don't plan on bringing physical books on my trip, and I think a Kobo is perfect for traveling. So this is when I will be reading on my Kobo. And I would actually switch out this case with my traveling case. So that would be very exciting. Oh my gosh, and it's Yoshi and it's green and the case is green. This is perfect. Honestly, the screensaver, changing the screensaver was the right choice. And I love Snoopy, but I also equally love Yoshi. And I love baby Mario. He's so cute. That is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.